The Saffron Gym is a death trap. Misty and Brock get turned into dolls, and luckily for Ash, he barely makes it out of there in one piece. No, not this one piece. To defeat Sabrina and rescue his friends, Ash befriends a Haunter in Lavender Town, who then accompanies him to his rematch. The rematch being just Haunter making Sabrina Kadabra laugh so uncontrollably that they're unable to battle, and so unconventionally earns his Marsh badge. Sadly, Haunter decides to stay with Sabrina to ensure her sanity and keep her happy. Man, I wish Haunter just followed Ash on his journey through Kanto. Ash having a Gengar would have been so fitting, so iconic, and so fun to watch in the Kanto League. But little did we know that Pokemon Journeys is about to make our fanfic dreams come true. It's just a normal day in Professor Cerise's lab, when suddenly the power goes out. As Ren checks to see what's wrong in the circuit, a wild Gengar attacks and knocks him out. Everyone in the lab then gets involved. Ash calls for Pikachu to battle this pesky Gengar, but the ghost Pokemon knows the move Psychic, so it's definitely a tricky Pokemon to deal with. Pikachu soon finds his opening and unleashes a Thunderbolt, causing Gengar to disappear. This repeats once more as Gengar seems to want to loom around Cerise's lab for some reason. But this time, it is Chloe and Yamper who manage to stop it. Despite getting thwarted multiple times, Gengar is still adamant to cause trouble in the lab, but now it smartly hides in Ash's shadow and is dragged along wherever he goes. As Ash makes a turn, he bumps into a stranger, to which he quickly apologizes. But this guy only retaliates with rudeness. His girlfriend thinks that he's still cursed, to which he responds that the curse has been gone for 3 years. Turns out this guy is actually Gengar's former trainer. When they were together, they were never able to win any battle or capture any Pokemon, so he thinks that he's cursed by having Gengar. So he made the decision to abandon it and promised to return even if he had no intention of keeping that promise. And the place where Gengar was abandoned is now Cerise's lab, which is why it likes staying in the place, still waiting for the return of its partner. This revelation of betrayal only infuriates Gengar and threatens to attack his former trainer, but he stops and wanders away. With its mind still convoluted, Gengar is approached by Team Rocket, forcefully convincing it to join their group. When they're blasted off, Ash collapses due to high fever, and when he wakes up, his eyes behold Gengar, who's giving signals that he wants to join Ash's team. After 8 long generations, Ash Ketchum has finally got himself a Gengar. As a key member of Ash's team, Gengar is determined to become the strongest battler it can ever be and climb the ranks of the Pokemon World Coronation Series. Gengar's real battle debut is during Ash's first PWC battle against Vizquez and her Raichu. This Raichu, who looks like it underwent some military training and has just given Pikachu a pretty difficult time in the battlefield. But when Gengar is sent out to substitute, it wastes no time showing off its incredible speed and agility, negating Raichu's attacks and finishing it off with Psychic. Vizquez then sends out her Electrode. It activates Magnet Rise to gain control of the battlefield. Being the fastest Pokemon of Generation 1, Electrode outmaneuvers Gengar by bouncing off the walls of the gym, evading the Ghost Pokemon's attack, and ending the battle with Discharge. After a good showing in the Vermilion Gym, Gengar seeks to further hone its skills in the Festival Challenge in Shadowlure City. Here Ash is faced against Karina, and he uses Gengar in the first round against Mienshao. Despite having the fighting immunity and access to Sidekick, Gengar struggles in this battle as Mienshao manages to take advantage of Gengar's antics and score a hit, before switching to Lucario, who easily finishes off the Shadow Pokemon. Gengar's loss in the Karina battle allows it to take a long rest and train harder for its next battle. It sits out for the entirety of the Great class, and then makes its long-awaited comeback in the Ultra class when it's sent out as Ash's second Pokemon against Volkner's Luxray. Gengar throws Luxray around with Psychic and inflicts more damage with Nightshade. This causes Volkner to switch to his Rotom fan. In the battle of the Ghost types, and base form Rotom is Ghost, so it technically counts, Rotom lands a Thunder Wave on Gengar, paralyzing it in the process. And combining it with Hex allows for a massive super effective damage, which ends Gengar's time in the battlefield. It's another devastating no-win battle for our favorite Ghost. He won his first battle on screen and then lost the next 3 consecutively. Not a good start for our boy. But things are about to change for Gengar, as Ash finds out that it's actually capable of Gigantamaxing. This mechanic will tremendously help show them in battles and may even unleash Gengar's fullest potential. So Ash visits Stow-on-Site Stadium and trains with the gym leader Alistair. With the help of his Dynamax band, Ash attempts to Gigantamax Gengar, but he ends up only activating regular Dynamax. Alistair remarks that training alone won't cause Gengar to Gigantamax. Instead, they should collect some Max Mushroom to concoct a Max Soup that can unlock Gengar's potential to G-Max. Ash and Gengar proceed to spend the entire day searching for Max Mushrooms, overcoming the dangers of various Ghost-type Pokemon. They let the Max Soup stew overnight, and the next day it's finally ready. So Gengar drinks the entire pot and successfully unlocks its Gigantamax form. Now that Gengar has received its own special buff, it's more than ready to face its next challenge, that being Marnie and her Grimmsnarl in the Ultra class. Interestingly, both Pokemon have a type advantage against the other. The battle starts out with them testing each other's moves, but it isn't long until Marnie Gigantamaxes her Grimmsnarl. The Ogre Pokemon executes its signature G-Max snooze with the aim of putting Gengar to sleep, but Gengar isn't a pushover and manages to overcome its drowsiness. Now it's Gengar's time to Gigantamax and starts spewing some of its own max moves. Both Pokemon survive the Gigantamax showdown, so as Gengar reverts back to its normal form, Ash orders it to swallow Grimmsnarl. A few moments later, Gengar spits Grimmsnarl out and it counterattacks with Stomping Tantrum, but Gengar deflects a Shadow Ball, critically striking Grimmsnarl and winning Ash the Ultra Class battle. Ever since unlocking his Gigantamax form, Gengar's battle prowess has grown stronger and stronger. First promotional match against Raihan, Ash decides to bring Gengar with him to battle the champion level Dragon-type specialist. Gengar comes out as Ash's second Pokemon with the aim of defeating this Flygon and its plaguing Sandstorm. Going into the battle, Ash plans to use Mega Evolution with Lucario, but realizing how big of a disadvantage he's currently at, Ash decides to switch plans mid-battle and calls for Gengar to use Gigantamax to suck away all the Sandstorm. Gengar then proceeds to clean up the dragon with G-Max Terror and G-Max Starfall. Raihan's response to this is to send out Goodra, this time setting up the Rain Weather. Goodra follows up with a series of attacks, but refusing to give up, Gengar attacks with the strongest super effective Max Starfall as it takes the Rain boosted Hydro Pump, resulting in a double knockout for both trainers. Gengar's performance in this battle brings back the momentum towards Ash, which is what he needs to secure the victory and advance to the Masters 8. At this point, Gengar's move pool presents a great amount of diversity. It's got Shadow Ball and Sludge Bomb for stab, and Dazzling Gleam to cover dark types. It once wielded Sidekick, but I guess it's too OP in battle that the writers decided to remove it. Now Gengar's move pool is purely composed of special attacks, but it lacks that tricky, mischievous gimmick that Ghost types tend to wield. Yes, a debilitating status move. So when Ash comes back to Pallet Town, he excitedly introduces his Journey team to his other Pokemon. They quickly bond with each other and start training in groups, since Ash's plan is to only use his Journey's team for the Masters 8. Gengar's training buddies are the Fire types, with Infernape acting as the leader. During this time, the Fire Gang manages to ignite Gengar's fiery spirit and teaches the Fire type move, the ghostly burn-inducing Will-O-Wisp. Gengar isn't the tankiest Pokemon, so being able to cut its opponent's physical attacks in half can be a game changer. When it's time for Ash to have a 3-on-3 sparring match with Paul, Gengar is sent out as Ash's final Pokemon against Paul's Metagross, and with the help of its newly learned Will-O-Wisp, Gengar snatches the victory as it wears a big smile on its face, confident and motivated to battle in the upcoming Masters 8 tournament. With this victory, he also improves to a 5-4 record, finally having more knockouts than losses. It is now the quarterfinals of the Masters 8 tournament. Inside its Pokeball, our favorite ghost is locked, loaded, and ready to go. Then a familiar voice calls out from the battlefield. Gengar is summoned as Ash's second Pokemon, set to face an Aggron who's trained by none other than the Hoenn champion himself, Steven Stone. Aggron has just defeated Gengar's friend Dracovish, so the Shadow Pokemon assumes the responsibility of avenging its fallen comrade. Gengar wastes no time and attacks with a secret weapon, Will-O-Wisp, and being bulky and slow, Aggron couldn't dodge. Now that its physical attacks are weakened, Gengar dominates the battle, and it isn't long until Aggron succumbs to the burn damage. So Gengar takes the distinction of being Ash's first Pokemon to score a win in the Masters 8. However, when Steven calls forth his Credilli, the tides have started to change. With its powerful tentacles and ability to recover with Ingrain, Gengar experiences a difficult time dealing with the fossil Pokemon. It does its best defending all of its attacks, even neutralizing a close-range Meteor Beam, but a series of follow-up attacks have led to Gengar's demise. Good thing Pikachu clears the Hoenn champion, so Gengar is able to battle once more, this time against Sinnoh champion Cynthia in the semifinals. Gengar faces Roserade, and the two of them seem to be on equal footing, manage to strike and withstand each other's attacks. But then Gengar takes the upper hand by burning Roserade with Will-O-Wisp. So Cynthia smartly switches out, knowing Roserade's natural cure ability will cure its burn, and sends back her infamous Spiritomb. In the battle of Ghost types, Gengar manages to land a super effective Dazzling Gleam, but Spiritomb retaliates with Sucker Punch, which is enough to deem Gengar unable to battle. The Cynthia battle was quite underwhelming for Gengar fans, but this isn't the end of Gengar because its friends managed to go on and defeat Cynthia's remaining Pokemon, bringing Ash to the final of the Masters 8, where he's set to battle the World Monarch Leon. Gengar is once again Ash's second Pokemon to be sent out in this battle. Fun fact, in all 8 of Gengar's Pokemon World Coronation Series tournament battles, it was sent out as Ash's second Pokemon in 6 of them, versus Visquez, Volkner, Raihan, Steven, Cynthia, and Leon. The only 2 times where it wasn't the case was during the battle versus Karina and versus Marnie, which was only a one-on-one battle. Anyways, Gengar's faced off against Leon's Inteleon, who starts the battle by pulling off Ash's own counter shield tactic, dealing some good damage onto Gengar. Since Leon gives Ash the ability to use all 3 of his mechanics, Ash goes to Gigantamax Gengar, who instantly traps Inteleon with G-Max Terror. Inteleon is actually good at dodging Gengar's hits, and even managing to counter with super effective Dark Pulse. Gengar eventually comes out on top, but is now back to its non-G-Max form. This time it faces off against Leon's Mr. Rime. Mr. Rime wastes no time and tries freezing Gengar with Freeze Dry. Sadly, RNG isn't in Gengar's favor, as it indeed gets frozen by the attack. But RNG is actually quite impartial in this battle, as Gengar's Curse Body ability activates and disables Mr. Rime from further using Freeze Dry. Despite this, the Icy Mime successfully executes a powerful combo of Psychic Terrain and Expanding Force, ending Gengar's run in the Masters 8 tournament. But all of Gengar's efforts have not gone to waste, because Ash Ketchum against all odds defeats the undefeated Leon and is now crowned as the World Monarch. It would sometimes travel with Ash on his expeditions, and at one point even played a pivotal role at comforting a sad Bayonet and reuniting it with its long-lost trainer. A subtle but meaningful closure to Gengar's story. Throughout the series, we've been with Gengar through its outstanding wins and humiliating losses, but we all know that whatever obstacles come its way, Gengar will rise to action and overcome the challenge. From a depressed and troublesome Pokemon who only wanted to reunite with its trainer, to finding a safer home which eventually led it to mastering Gigantamax and becoming a world champion Pokemon, Gengar's story in the Pokemon anime has truly gone full circle. So full circle in fact that its on-screen win-loss record was 7-7. Thank you so much for watching Gengar's complete history, and as always, it's been your boy LUAP, and I'm out. Peace.